All right, everybody. So I think it's a good time to maybe sit on video for a minute and just kind of give you guys an update and just emphasize why I think it's so important to be preparing, especially when you don't necessarily need to be prepared. This almost falls in line with when you need money, the banks are a lot more reluctant to give it to you. And I just had a coaching session here today with a gal who is generating over $400,000 a year and literally can't figure out where any of that money is going and is now robbing Peter to pay Paul. Listen, things happen in life, and I want to be extremely transparent with you guys about myself and my own personal life with things that I haven't yet shared. On April 14th, my sweet little nephew Gavin passed away unexpectedly. He was only 8 years old, and none of us anticipated something like this. It's been horrific on the whole family. My little brother, went to check on him when he was in the tub, and he had actually drowned. So this happened within a 10-minute window. Things like this can happen to anybody. So on April 15th, I jumped in the Jeep and I just drove back to Colorado, and I drove straight through from Florida. It was about a 28-hour drive, and I just stopped for a couple short rests and gasoline. And luckily, I have a really close and rather large family, which is one of the only blessings in this situation, as far as I can tell, that we are there to support one another, and we've been marching on, taking it day by day since. I ended up staying in Colorado for a month at that time. And thankfully, I have tremendous partnerships in business that were supportive of me and allowed me to take that time and grieve. And it's been a torturous several months since his passing. Shortly thereafter, I ended up having to go to Colorado again to register a vehicle for my drain business there, because apparently the DMV nor the state, they can't get it together with technology, and you apparently have to go in person in order to register. And I ended up shooting from there to California in order to go to a wedding for my cousin. And it was the first time our whole family was able to get together following Gavin's passing, which was terrific. And the combination of that trip plus Colorado ended up being another 10 days. And on Monday morning, this upcoming Monday, I'm leaving for another wedding in Colombia, and it'll be my first international trip since the pandemic. So that will end up being a 16 or 17 day experience and adventure, and I'm really looking forward to it overall. But altogether, we're looking at somewhere in the vicinity of 2 full months. Not to mention the last wedding I just got back from, I ended up catching COVID, and so I'm now an honorary member of the Caught COVID Club, which ended up resulting in about a 2-week downtime. It was pretty brutal for me. You could maybe still hear it in my respiratory, actually, because I'm not fully over it and I'm still dealing with exhaustion. And I guess the point of today's video is not to just pile on these poor me stories or yay, I'm getting to do this and that, because it hasn't been all bad. It's some great things and some really terrible, unexpected tragedies. And it all couldn't have been possible without preparation, without anticipation. We've done a couple videos talking about the power of anticipating these types of unexpected situations, expecting the unexpected. With so much unexpected right now, that could happen based on the economy and data, we're seeing that it can get pretty dicey for a lot of us here in the next few years. Why not take the time while you don't necessarily need it to prepare yourself for that possibility? It's thanks to my partnerships, it's thanks to the preparation, it's thanks to the processes and the systems and the team and the delegation that things could run normally for me in spite of my absence and mental downtime necessary with everything that I've been going through and this upcoming trip to Colombia, that allowed my income to stay right on track. I mean, it's almost as if nothing slipped whatsoever. And I couldn't be more thankful for that. And I'm wanting to impress upon you all that, you know, I'm looking back at myself and some of the decisions that I've made in the previous years leading up to this, and just saying thank you so much, previous Matt, from 3 years ago, for putting yourself in a position to where these things can come up and you're still functional. There's still cash flow. There's still a plan in place. There's debts that are always eliminated. There's investments that are always taking place. The growth is continuing, and you know, there are people that are willing to let me grieve the way I need to grieve. And I want you guys to have that freedom as well. And it's not part of the money management results that are discussed often enough. A lot of times we think of, well, what could we buy with more money? Where could we go with more money? But it's those things that sort of come out of left field and surprise us, both good and bad, that we don't think as much about when we're working on preparing ourselves and what will we do when we achieve certain results. So I want for some of you to maybe allow this video to serve as a motivator to focus on that. And because, you know, without reasons why, this has just been a really great reminder to me that one of the best reasons why to work hard and grind when, you know, there's downtime is because there will be more, you know, the longer we live, the more people around us pass away. By the end, my grandmother was the only living person she knew outside of family. All her friends had passed. You know, we're going to experience really horrible hardships in life, and putting these priorities at the top versus the back burner and procrastinating and just sort of kicking the can down the road. You wouldn't have even found this channel if you weren't proactively trying to grow, trying to prioritize, whether it be your money, whether it be your elimination of debt, whether it be your credit scores, whether it be your access to capital, whether it be your investment strategies, whether it be that you want to just gain more knowledge so that you can start to manage your money in a better way overall. You wouldn't be here unless you were making this a priority now. So let's take that a step further and really figure out how you can take the action in order to develop the multiple streams of income, in order to absorb the inevitable fluctuation, the inevitable volatility that comes with life. And you know, I think back to the beginning of the pandemic. I had a business that suddenly lost $65,000 a month and growing from 6 weeks into the pandemic on. And when you have a team of 10 various people that are all counting on you for payroll, that can be an enormous blow. That's a big chunk of money for a small business owner like me. And if it weren't for the variety of irons that I had in the fire at that time, where we could supplement the losses on that one business with growth and gains in other areas, it would have been a real problem for me professionally. So again, the anticipation of that possibility paid off. The planning and preparation ahead of anything like that, which I had never, of course, thought would happen. I didn't predict a pandemic to come up. I just knew that I want to always have a diversified portfolio of revenues. I always want to have a collection of assets that are earning me every single month, every single year. And some will outperform others, some might even dip or take losses while others do better. And that's why diversification is so important. So at this particular time, I think it's important to just do an audit of your time. How are you managing it? How are you intending to design the lifestyle and have access to the freedom and maneuverability necessary to adapt when things get rough or when things come up that you're not planning for? The planning happens before things happen that you don't plan on. And that's an interesting thing to have to think about, but it's the reality of life. So don't allow the volatility of this economy to sneak up on you and set you off course to a point where you can't rebuild without taking years and years or even a decade or longer, because that happened to some people last downturn. Got really derailed to where they couldn't even take advantage of some of the opportunities that had made a lot of us wealthy over the last 10 years. You don't want to be sidelined. The biggest opportunities that we will ever see are in front of us. So prepare now, get your finances in order, make sure that you are keeping tabs on this channel, become a subscriber. I'm going to actually start offering complimentary coaching again. When I get back from Colombia, that will be something that I prioritize, but I am just going down there for a wedding and to clear my head and just recalibrate and try to get through some of this grief because it's certainly been very difficult. Furthermore, my dad had to have his appendix removed. They're on a cruise right now. They decided to still go on this cruise. In Lithuania, he ends up having to have his appendix taken out, almost burst. Thankfully, he's okay, but life can be very challenging, folks, and the one thing you don't want is to have a mismanagement of your money, and finances make that even more problematic for you. So let's get things under control. Get your Cashflow Cruncher for free at cashflowcruncher.com. Download it, start tracking your income and expenses along with your gross and net cash flow positions, and just really start to stockpile right now. I don't recommend paying off those low interest accounts at the moment. If you have a record low interest rate on your mortgage, 3 or even 4%, keep that for now. Don't accelerate paying your loan down yet. If you have low interest credit cards, just stockpile your cash, keep that cash flow in the bank, and just allow that to serve you when an opportunity comes up, whether it be in 6 months or in the next 2 years. You're going to want to make sure that you're really tucking your resources aside. But the number one thing to be doing that I think most people are not great at is just simply tracking these numbers as closely as possible. So use that Cashflow Cruncher. It's the easiest homework assignment I can give you following a video like this that will inevitably make progress for you. Even that small amount of progress, one baby step a day, turns into 365 baby steps a year. And 365 turns into 3,600 after 10 years. It's a very powerful thing what can happen when you're compounding the efforts if all you're doing is just making small progress. But following getting your Cashflow Cruncher completed, just go in and really review all of your expenses and cut anything that's not absolutely necessary. Very basic video today, folks. Just wanted to give you a State of the Union and remind you that preparation and anticipation now will mean far more to you than it probably ever has moving forward. Thanks for your time. Look forward to seeing you on the next one.